Hello again, Packer fans. Welcome back to the Atrium at GreenBayPackerNation.com. Today is Wednesday, October 6th, and there is big news in the NFL today. Okay, in the news, of course, most of you have probably heard by now that Randy Moss is now a Viking again. Randy Moss, going back where he started his career in '98 as one of the premier rookie wide receivers in the league, he has had an up-and-down career since. Actually was somewhat ushered out of town when he left the Vikings, spent a year with the Raiders, back to the Patriots, of course, and now the Patriots, who have some young up-and-coming wide receivers, have decided to trade Randy Moss back to the Minnesota Vikings for a third-round draft pick. So Randy Moss will be paired up with Brett Favre, as Brett Favre apparently wanted for a long time. I don't know if he pulled any strings on this one, but you got to wonder at times. The Minnesota Vikings, of course, needing a deep threat, and temporarily they have it now. The Vikings do not have to carry Randy Moss after this season. They have picked up his current contract, which runs out, and he will be a free agent at the end of the year. They can sign him or not. If Sidney Rice comes back and they don't need him, there's no harm, no foul in this deal, folks. The Vikings upgrade their team considerably. Now, I know we all hate Randy Moss, but look at our Packers team. The weakness, this plays to the weakness of our Packers team. We've got to get a hold of these guys. We've got these guys in a couple of weeks to play, and it will be interesting to see what happens with Randy Moss as a Viking and whether he can get on the same page with Brett Favre. Of course, we all hope not. Other news, of course, for the Packers, Morgan Burnett lost for the season with an ACL tear. This is bad news. The guy was just starting to come into his own. The coaches were happy with his progress. Of course, we at GPN had said all along that there were going to be some growing pains with these guys, but we thought their talent level and ability, and of course Morgan Burnett, there was all this talk about his range, and he had done better getting his nose up, getting his nose in, and playing the run game in the game versus Detroit. A big blow to the Packers' defensive backfield. We are banged up. We are still waiting for Al Harris to return, and now Morgan Burnett will not be available on IR, out for the season. Speaking of Al Harris, of course, I was asking on the fifth quarter this week, why haven't we heard about him? Why haven't we heard anything from Al Harris? And this week a video did pop up. I was disappointed, to say the least. Maybe you've heard this video. Al answering all the questions, saying all the right things, but it just didn't seem like he wasn't being confident. He wasn't saying, I'm going to be back, I'm going to be better than ever. He was saying, hey, it's a choice for someone else to make, which is true. It's a choice for the medical staff to make when he comes back, but personally, I don't expect to see Al Harris come back in week 6. I expect him to come back after the bye week, and then, of course, he'll be on limited reps. This is just a guess. This isn't based on anything except, body language and stuff like that. But the nature of the injury, too. This is a very serious injury that he's had, and I would rather see him come back later if we can survive without Al Harris. We've done so far. The Morgan Burnett is going to be a big deal, but we've done so up to this point. So let's hope that Al Harris comes back at the right time. And let's hope the right time is sooner rather than later. Clint Portis will not be playing for the Washington Redskins when the Packers go to FedEx Field on Sunday. He has a pulled groin he will be out probably 4 to 6 weeks. It is very severe, and he will not play. Now, Ryan Terrain is no slouch. He will give us a challenge in that regard. Had 70 yards, I believe, last week. He can run the ball, and we have done well against. I have no concern whatsoever with our run defense at this point. I think we're going to do fine. The question, of course, is what is Donovan McNabb going to do to our defensive backfield? So the Packers situation has seemed to change. There's a different feeling about this Packers team as of the Detroit game. And Mike McCarthy talked about how the team acted like they had lost. They'd won by 2 points, and they acted like they'd lost. And there's something to be said for that. The team's psyche is down. The morale seems to be down. We need a big game to pick this team back up again. We need all the Packer fans to rally around them. We need to be confident. This is a team that still has a ton of talent and still has a great defensive coordinator. The only question, not the only question mark, one of the question marks I have, and some of you out there have, about this team is about the head coach. And Coach Mike McCarthy is the topic of this week's Get Serious. So let's get serious. Coach McCarthy, the defensive backfield is in shambles. Let's be honest. The offense is not clicking. They are full of talent, but they're not clicking. When are you going to get serious about the situation? I know you had a couple press conferences this week, and this week is going to show one thing that I want to know about you, Coach. I've been asking, this is the only question maybe I've had for a long time. I've never questioned your organization abilities, your ability to keep the team on board with the goals that you set forth. I lately maybe question your play calling ability a little bit, but not as much as some people. But what I do question is sometimes you've just got to get the team up emotionally to play out of their heads, to be better than the actual players on the team as a whole, to be a better unit than the sum of the parts. And you've got to get serious about this, man. We've got to get this done. This team has to be emotionally up for games to be able to make up for some of the holes we have. The players are going to have to be playing out of their heads. Not just Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews is playing out of his head because of his linebacker coach and because of his skill, of course. But we need you to step up like a Kevin Green and get these guys emotionally ready to drill somebody, to put their foot on their throat, and to finish them off early and to pound them for 4 quarters. Until we have a full 4 quarters of winning football, we're still going to be asking, Mike McCarthy, are you ever going to get serious? Okay, so a game review. Green Bay has to play the Washington Redskins this week. I am not going to talk so much about the Washington Redskins as I am going to talk about the Green Bay Packers in general, the NFC North, and what I think is going to be important in the NFC North going into the second quarter of this season and down the stretch as we head into the last half of the season. You're looking at an NFC North. This is once again the black and blue division. The Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears, and of course the class of the NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. These teams are going to beat the living crap out of each other. It is a fact. Look at what Detroit did to the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears beat us. Well, we beat ourselves. But the Detroit Lions should have won that game. The Minnesota Vikings, always dangerous. Now with Randy Moss. The division, the NFC North division, is back to the point where you almost can expect to just be trading blows. You expect to win at home and lose away. I would not be surprised to see this division beat itself up. I know the focus of these teams is to win their division, win the games against division rivals. And of course that's going to be very important. And if Green Bay can continue, we've only got the 1 loss to the Bears, and the Bears now evened up with us at 3-1, and they have to come back to Lambeau at the end of the season. So we're in good shape there. But you just know, I don't think there's as much there's as much of a to lose by 2. Let me slow down. To lose by 2 to the Detroit Lions is not the same as it would have been in past seasons. This is a division that's going to beat itself up. Now, my point is this. Our NFC North plays NFC East teams, and what do we play? AFC East or AFC North? We're going to have a tough schedule outside of our division, and I think those outside of the division of the NFC North games are going to be very important, more important than they have been in the past, to decide who wins this division. Look what happened to the Chicago Bears after a big win against the Green Bay Packers. They go out east, go to the Meadowlands, and get absolutely pummeled by the Giants. If Green Bay can keep their stuff together, play well on the road, and this is what we've generally done in the past, this team will be in very good shape at the end of the season. Now, of course, that is in question. We're a little bit unsure about this team now with the injuries that we've had. We're not sure who we're going to have. We know there are going to be tons of adjustments. Dom Capers, in particular, is going to have to make, and Mike McCarthy, with the running back situation, is going to have to make. So we are not so certain, but we're still a talented team. We play well on the road. Mike McCarthy prepares his team well to not get blown away by, except for the Bears game. That was a big exception to this rule. But I think as a rule, McCarthy gets the team ready to play on the road. But watch for these outside of the division games. These are the ones that could make or break teams for this NFC North Black and Blue Division Championship. It's going to be big. It's going to matter. And it starts this Sunday for Green Bay with the Washington Redskins. This team has a lot of players as well. Now with Donovan McNabb, watch out. We've got to keep our ducks in order, find a way to win. It doesn't matter how many points we win by. It just matters that we win till we can get some people back healthy, perhaps an Al Harris. Maybe a guy who can contribute would be a James Starks down the road. It's going to take some time because he hasn't had enough reps. But it will matter. Mark my words. You're going to be talking about the Green Bay Packers fans or the Detroit Lions fans, the Bears fans. The Bears fans are going to be talking about that loss against the Giants. The Packers fans may not be talking as much about the loss against the Bears by the time this is said and done as a loss against, say, the Miami Dolphins, something like this, that you got a game that we should have won as an NFC North team. So watch out for that. The Vikings are going to be, talking about some of the losses they've had outside of division, and hopefully they will be plenty. I can see the Vikings perhaps, now with the Randy Moss thing is really adds an interesting twist to the NFC North, but I can see the Minnesota Vikings possibly ending up at the bottom of this division as they stand right now. But we will see. But mark my words, we're going to be talking, winners or losers, we're going to be talking about what they did outside of the division, because we know every battle is going to be hard fought within the division. Okay, it's time for the question of the week, and this week during the week, we asked, Eagles fans gave Donovan McNabb a round of applause last Sunday when he returned to Philly. Would you like to see the Packers give McNabb this coming Sunday at FedEx Field? So we asked that question. We got a lot of good responses. If you answered that question and you did it in the most creative way you could, watch for your name at the end of this show. We are going to roll those answers and look forward to the response from Packers fans that shows up on our fan page. And you can also comment on our YouTube channel, and we will get those on the Atrium. So that is what the question of the week was last week. Look for those answers after the show. For this week's question of the week revolves around the biggest news in the NFL this week. Randy Moss and Brett Favre finally together. These two have been in kissy love with each other for so many years, I can hardly count it. And now finally they get to play together. So here's the question of the week. Randy Moss and Brett Favre are both on the backside of their career. They're kind of nearing the end. Now for Randy Moss in particular, how would you like to see Randy Moss's career end? So get creative, folks. Watch for this question to show up on our Facebook fan page. Answer this question below in our comment section on the YouTube channel, and you too can show up on the Atrium and get rolled in the credits. So let's hear what you have to say. That question once again. Randy Moss and Brett Favre, both at the end of their career. How would you like to see Randy Moss's career finally end? So we hope to hear from all of you, and we hope to see all of your answers. The only rules to it are basically you have to answer the question and you have to be as creative as possible. We are interested in funny, creative responses. So we look forward to hearing from you. And of course, at GreenBayPackerNation.com, you can check out our Facebook fan page. Check out our blogs. We have several. We have a GPN Insights and a Quick Slant blog. We also have the humor blog, The Cheese. And we also have a statistical blog called By the Numbers. So check it all out. Catch up with us on Twitter. Follow The Cheese, Packer Nation on Twitter. And we hope to hear from you. We want to get your input. And until next time, as we always say here on the Atrium, go Pack.